Hello, my wonderful subscribers. If you are like me, then sometimes you can be pretty sensitive. A lot of times you can also be an overthinker, an overanalyzer, and you can really get triggered by things that people say to you, especially if it's a criticism. Do you internalize it and start attacking yourself or repeat what they say in your head over and over again? In the last video, I talked about emotional self-control and how it will help people around you have more respect for you. And one of my tips was to not take things that people say to you so personally. It won't be so triggering and you won't have an emotional reaction, which is going to skew how people see you in more of a negative light. And I mentioned one of the things you can do to help build your emotional self-control is to emotionally separate yourself from things that people say to you and stop caring so much what other people think. I'd like to go over how you can actually do that. So when someone comes at you with a criticism, instead of reacting emotionally, you can respond and go on with your day. And you won't be so sensitive to it, and it won't keep you up at night for days or weeks, or in some disastrous instances, you're still thinking about it a couple of years later, like, man, remember when she said that? Boy, I should have said this. No more of that. Let's talk. When it comes to criticism, there's only one thing you need to do that will tell you exactly how wound up you actually need to get over this person's comment. And that is, consider the source. I used to take what everybody said to me really personally, beat myself up, eat an entire box of donuts, skip the workout that day. None of these things, by the way, are helpful, and the other person wins. No. By the way, I will be showing my self-love today with Mooncat's Midsummer's Dream. If you would like to join me, please grab a bottle, leave a comment down below, and tell me what color you are showing your self-love with today. And when it comes to criticism, there tends to be three different kinds. Some people are genuinely trying to help you. Some people are doing it to be mean. And the worst kind is when people come at you in the spirit of friendship, but really they're toxic and they're just trying to get some reaction from you because it gives them glee, because they're just that kind of person. And because this is life, you will find those kinds of people. We try to stay away from them. This channel, by the way, would like to help prevent you from even having those people in your life, or at least teaching you how to deal with it. So let's learn how to deal with it. I'll start by giving you an example of a criticism. It was a criticism, but it was someone who was I was complaining about something and they were trying to help me. I used to do fitness shows in my 20s, and I did 3 of them, completed them. And then I owned a business and everything was really chaotic. The thing about fitness shows is you have to have a very regimented lifestyle. Everything's timed. You need a lot of consistency. But when you own a small business, you don't get consistency. Pipes explode. People call in sick. You got to run to the bank. You need to talk to a vendor because there's a problem with an order. And I had a customer who I still love. Let's say his name was Thomas. And he was a huge gym rat. He was asking me if I was going to do another show. And I was like, man, I would love to, but I just don't have the time. And he proceeded to tell me why that was an excuse. Oh, Maria, you're just not making the time. Oh, Maria, you could prep your meals. Blah, blah, blah. When he said that to me, I have to tell you, for about a year, I would think about that every once in a while, and I would feel bad about myself. Am I just making excuses? I sort of felt lazy. I'm not working hard enough. If I really wanted to do this, I would do it. And I really beat myself up over it. Now, about a year down the road, I realized something about myself and Thomas. Thomas had never done one fitness show. He was definitely an avid gym goer, but he has never done one fitness show. He doesn't even know what it's like. I had done 3. I knew exactly what it was like. Not only that, at no time in my life had I ever given myself evidence that I was a lazy person. I was still am, a very highly motivated person. I'm not a slacker. I'm not a slouch. And I really enjoyed fitness. So between me and Thomas, the only person who could really know my schedule, my life, and whether or not I had time to do another fitness show was me. I finally considered the source, and the source was a guy who, while trying to be helpful, really had no idea what he was talking about. And after that, after the moment I finally realized that, I never felt bad about it ever again. Now I'll give you an example of someone who had a critical reaction to something I told them, and it was a mean one. I wanted to start a YouTube channel, obviously. And, the way that YouTube is, from all the research that I've done, it's slow growing. That's okay. I set a goal date for April 1st, and I fired out my first video on April 1st. And I said I was going to do at least one video a week for a year. And my channel has grown. I've hit those goals, and my channel has grown to 23 wonderful subscribers. Now, I went to a party a couple of weeks ago, and there was a guy there, and someone mentioned I had a YouTube channel, and he asked me how many subscribers I had, and I said 23. Oh, he laughed at me. He laughed, chuckled, rolled his eyes, definitely criticized my progress. And you know why it didn't hurt my feelings? Because I had known him, and he was someone who talked about wanting to do a YouTube channel. Do you think he has ever done a YouTube channel? He has never even tried, started. And in that same conversation, I asked him what he wanted his channel to be about. He said he didn't even know, but he knew he was going to have a lot of subscribers. And that's the point where you have to consider the source and just let it roll right off your back. He was laughing at my progress. This guy hadn't made any. By the way, in life, those are the kind of people you end up managing. They don't have a plan. They just want to pick on other people. Consider the source. Don't ever let it bother you. Now I'll give you an example of someone who thinks they're being cute. They really think that they're going to come at you with kindness and hurt your feelings, and they get to watch your reaction, and it's going to be fun for them. And by the way, this is a fantastic response that I have started doing to people. It renders them speechless, and it works every single time. I went to a beach party, and I had worn a bikini. And after the party, I had someone approach me, just looking for drama. Like, oh, Maria, by the way, you know so-and-so at that party, behind your back, they were talking about how inappropriate your outfit was, how inappropriate your bathing suit was. And I busted out with the biggest smile on my face, and I was like, that's awesome. I must have looked so good. And that person that thought that they were about to see me defend myself and get upset and be all bitchy and petty back, they didn't even know what to say to that. Anytime someone comes up to you and talks about how other people criticizing the way that you look at a party or anything else, that is now your go-to response. You just say, oh my God, that's fantastic. I must have looked so good that night. Seriously, it almost becomes laughable. Deep down, you have to really embrace the knowledge. that when people come at you criticizing you out of nowhere, when you're not doing anything to them and you're minding your own business, it is completely about them. Those girls who make fun of you in a bathing suit must be really insecure about how they look in a bathing suit. That guy who laughs at your progress is probably deep down insecure that he hasn't made more progress in his life. And then there are people like Thomas who really do come at you trying to play the devil's advocate, and they think that they're helping you by saying, yeah, but maybe this is an excuse. And in cases like that, just consider the source. Do they have, you know what one of my favorite, absolute favorite sayings is? It's an oldie but a goodie. And it goes, the proof is in the pudding. This became my favorite saying when I watched a skinny guy at the gym approach a clearly very seasoned bodybuilder and just started lecturing him on why he hasn't built more muscle and how he's lifting his weights wrong. And that bodybuilder turned around and looked that other guy up and down and very calmly said, yeah, well, the proof's in the pudding. And it totally shut the skinny guy up. That guy wasn't a jerk about it. He didn't let the critical skinny man diminish him. He knew how to consider the source before he took something personally. He was just kind of like, right, but who are you to criticize me? Because the bodybuilder obviously had mastered emotional self-control and knew that before he got all twisted up and had an emotional reaction or started beating himself up over it, he needed to consider the source. And the source was someone who obviously he didn't know what he was talking about. This is a beautiful color, by the way. It's a holographic pink with a shifty blue undertone. It's kind of like a spooky blue. Instead of going out of my way to criticize people that I don't really know and show that I have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to show myself love instead by painting my nails with A Midsummer's Dream by Mooncat. The best advice I can give you, especially if you have a lot of anxiety and you get triggered by criticism, is just make a rule for yourself not to say anything. Don't say anything. Just don't say anything. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's better to not say anything than get wound up and say something that sounds dumb, that sounds mean, it makes you the bad guy, and it's something that you'll regret later, and it will also be something that keeps you up at night because you're like, oh, why did I say that? That was mean. Better to not say anything than say something that you'll regret. And then when you go home that night and you think about it, because you will, or on your drive home or whenever, consider the source. Only give that person as much energy as they really deserve. Consider the source and realize that people who criticize other people unprovoked are typically feeling insecure about something in themselves, or they have no idea what they're talking about, in which case you should definitely not put any weight into what they say. This really is a beautiful color. If you have not yet, please hit the notification bell, because in the next video, I will share with you the #1 worst dating and relationship advice I ever got from an actual dating coach. And I have the cringy text message exchanges that were the aftermath of me following that terrible advice. Totally worth the money, right? Maybe for you guys. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. Thank you for visiting. The Other Half.